Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a flesh and blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Derek and Logan.
Hello and welcome to episode, 106 of Flesh and Pod. My name is Logan. I am your very weary host, having just got back from Vegas today, and then I am being bombarded by people with where episode, and even on Twitter, people adding the Flesh and Pod account. And I love your passion, but people, sometimes life does get in the way. However, we are here. With me, as always, is Lost in Bumfuck, Michigan, because that's what it says on my screen right now. That is what it says. So that's what I'm reading. I'm like
you're not wrong.
I'm like Ron Burgundy. I'm just going to read the cue cards. Derek Oswald. Derek, I did nothing in Flesh and Blood this week. I was enjoying some needed time away in Las Vegas, which is kind of still a shit show. It's always a shit show, but more of a shit show because they're still tearing stuff down from the F1 race. And then I got to get the entire backstory of how the F1 race absolutely wrecked that town for months. So there were like, the hottest one was like, I get there, and I hadn't been there since last year when the would have been Uprising, right? Release would have been.
I think so, because that was with the cool dragon playmat thing that I didn't get.
Yep, I have one, and so that was last time I was there. And so I come down to the Grand Bazaar shops, and I see this place that's serving up like red beans and rice and a beer for $5, and my heart was full. Like, this is everything I need in life right in front of me. And I go to the doors and it says close permanently. And I'm like, this wasn't here the last time I was here, which really didn't feel like that long ago. Like, it's been about a year, a little over a year. That seems like a really, really quick time frame. So I went and looked it up. The place opened on like October 23rd and closed its doors for good on November 24th because they closed all the pedestrian bridges off for the F1 race to block people from standing on them to watch the race. So people could not get to those venues. There were about 7 or 8 locations that have been in that Bazaar Shops area for years that were just gone. I'm like, wow, that's fucked up. But yeah, so that was my week. Did you do anything remotely card game oriented this week?
No. So nothing card game oriented, and kind of for good reason. Much like Logan, I have been on a whirlwind of travel as of late. And so I did Worlds in Barcelona and then came back, and then I did the Realm Rumble, and then I drove home Sunday night after the Realm event ended so that I could try to pack and then turn around and get on a flight the following morning to DC for a work trip. And then I had my flight coming back for that get delayed, and so I didn't get back until Friday. And that meant that I needed some time. Like, I hadn't slept in my own bed in a long time, and I hadn't seen my family in a long time. That was a big one. And so my wife had already kind of pre-planned. There were a couple of different events going on here in Michigan, including some Krampish knocked stuff that I tweeted about as well. So
that looks sick.
It was really, really fun, and it had a great turnout. I suspect that it's going to become a yearly thing just based on all the people that I talked to at that particular event, because they were very, very happy with how it all went, which is great for me because I love that stuff. But anyway, I traveled all last week, so I couldn't play. And then I came home, and between Friday and Saturday, I literally slept. I also just wasn't feeling well. I don't know if it was like I was sick or I was just burnt out, dehydrated. I do know that when I was at that hotel in DC, it was a very nice hotel. It was the place they've done the presidential inauguration for like 100 years. It was the Omni Shoreham. It's like very,
yeah.
Yep. Very historic. Problem, though, is that I forgot to take my allergy meds with me, and I was definitely allergic to something in the hotel because I was sneezing nonstop so much that I gave myself multiple bloody noses on this work trip. So yeah, by the time I got home, I was just like, I was crashing and I felt bad as well. Like I just didn't feel well. And so like I was sleeping in as late as I could. I don't think I even like left my bed until like 2 p.m. on Saturday. And then we had the events in the evening on both Saturday and Sunday. So like the closest thing that I was even going to attempt to do card game related was there was the Coaxing event that was being put on by Joe Senart. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but
Decks and Drafts. Yep.
Yeah. Great community member, and he had contacted me a bit ago about like maybe guest casting something or whatever, and I was very interested, but I declined, both in part because I knew I was doing family stuff, but also it was a good thing I declined because I just felt awful most of the weekend. So that was the closest I came to doing anything card game related. But it was just travel and then recuperation.
Well, I'm glad that both of us have our priorities in order, and we do this weekly podcast about a card game that it just neither of us decided to touch this week.
Yeah, well, that was this week. This week upcoming, I've got some stuff that I would like to tackle. One of them is, I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions, if you will, but my goal after having seen my like YouTube recap and my Twitch recap and whatever for this year. Now, granted, a big part of it was like I was hurt and had a bunch of health issues and whatever, but I didn't make nearly enough content this year. Like I knew that I wasn't making it, but it was very like hurtful to myself when I saw some of the numbers, and I was like, oh. So we are in the process of rectifying that. I'm planning on streaming a lot more frequently. I know I say that all the time, but like legitimately this next week, and then specifically over the holidays, I'm hoping to nail a bunch of stuff down where I want to make sure my overlays are right and whatever. But I'm going to fire back up Runeterra, and I plan on streaming some Talishar, Flesh and Blood. And then later, sometime in 2024, when they lift the NDA and I can play it publicly, I'm going to play some Stormgate, which is the RTS coming. But I will be back on card games very, very soon, including Flesh and Blood. And it's honestly, it's a bit for my own mental sanity as well, just because I have such a hard time getting to my local armories, and I feel fucking awful about it every time.
Oh, me too.
But I have such a hard time getting to them that I need... it's not just like I play Talishar games here or there, but like I need more than just the games. I also need that community interaction. That's part of the reason I love going to the events, right? I go to the Realm Rumble and I have a great time, and I go to Worlds and I have a great time. And like, let's be honest, the game is fantastic, but so are the people. And so I'm hoping that if I start streaming more often again, and I'm, playing Flesh and Blood, even if it's, 5 people come hang out or whatever, that's still 5 Flesh and Blood folks that I can sit and chat with and have a good time. And it is what it is. So.
That's 100%. Like I identify with that. I really, really do. And with me, like it's been a little whirlwindy lately. Obviously the Realm event, then went and vacationed in Vegas for a week. In 3 weeks, I'm going to be on the cruise ship, and then, hanging out in Orlando for a little extra time, which is a hellscape because it's Florida. But I've never been good at doing the streaming thing. That's never been something that I excelled at. I don't understand how to make all the fancy shit. I am a fucking moron when it comes to that stuff because I've never taken the time to learn. And part of that is because who has fucking time? I'm in front of this microphone for the fappers every goddamn week for 106 weeks. So what other time do I have? And the reality of it is I have time. I should find better ways to use it when it comes to learning that and presenting a good stream. So we'll put this out there for the greater Flesh and Blood community. Hop on Twitter, hop on the YouTube comments of this show, and let us know if you want to see us streaming, and basically so you could shit talk everything we're doing wrong, which is exactly what would happen.
Oh, no. Let me tell you a fun story, my friend. That might be how it starts. Back when I covered the Elder Scrolls Legends, I had this one person. He was basically the closest thing to a pro player you could have in that game, because they were very intertwined with the competitive community. They'd won a bunch of stuff, whatever. Their handle was "Please Don't Hack Me." Very nice guy. Great sense of humor as well. But like, we had this like mini, I don't want to call it like a rivalry, but there was like this weird tension where every time he would hang out in my stream, he would start trying to be like, oh, hey, like you missed this, like, option, or, I think you misplayed that or whatever. And I would go, yeah, and it's my stream. And I would start misplaying on purpose. Like, I would just submarine it hard. So I'm just saying, like, if you start trash talking my fab, then there will be some potential spite submarining.
Just being off.
I will break out. I will lose. I will concede, and then I will load up Let It Riptide, and that's on you.
Speaking of being bad out of spite, people, arcane damage is real. And it can hurt you. Y'all must have fucking forgot about Dre. Because in Battle Hardened Orlando, there were 2 Kanos in the top 8, and Juju Sniffin happened to win it on Kano, ripping off a 10-0. No one took a match off him. Okay.
So, couple of things, real quick. One, we called that.
We did.
Like, we said, hey,
fucking
we thought it was
ya.
a dark horse for Realm. We saw the top 8 there. Then obviously goes and wins Battle Hardened Orlando. 2, my conspiracy theory is that people didn't forget about AB. They're just like, oh, wait, the Living Legend points got bumped up. Let's let Kano win a bunch of events, and then we really don't have to worry about AB. What if we just let him... Like, this is like walking Barry Bonds. They're like, let's just walk Kano, baby. Like, let's put him on base.
It's like, no insult to the Fab community, but I don't think that that's the type of big brain play that they would make, although it should be. I'm going to give you a quick cruise through the top 8. Obviously, you have your winner, Julian Sniffin on Kano. There were 2 Kanos in the top 8, the other one being Justin Graham, along with Carlos Cruz on Azalea, Mara Ferris on blah, 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 blah. Thomas Battaglia on Uzuri.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're happy. Just calm the fuck down.
This was the perfect outcome for me. Multiple Uzuris in the top 8, but no Living Legend points earned.
Yes, Brandon Akers on Dromai as well. Guy Cohen, not on Dromai, but on Uzuri.
Uzuri, yes!
And then Chris Martin, obviously on Dory. So we had an Uzuri Kano final. And so so if you want to play the conspiracy theory that Thomas was like, I'm going to throw, because I think that this deck is gas and we need to keep it under the radar so it can't show up in the winner's circle. I'll listen. I won't believe, because when there's PTIs and gold foils involved, people are going to try to win those. They're going to do that. But congratulations to Julian. See, I still here's the other point to the conspiracy theory though, right? Thomas was on Uzuri, and yes, there was a gold foil, but we all know assassins care far more about silver. And so if it was, a cold foil or a silver foil, then I'd say, okay, they will complete that contract. But right now, what do they think they are, Royal? No way they're going for that gold foil. Yes, they will. They're not playing an assassin. They're playing.
No, they were playing Uzuri Switchblade. She's an assassin. They were literally playing an assassin.
They're not playing as an assassin. They are playing the assassin deck. They don't see it as a career path.
Listen, it's 2023. I'm not going to judge.
Okay. But we don't know who won the PTI event. I tried to suss it out with the Living Legend post, and I got nowhere with it. The only thing I can think of is maybe it was a Dromai, because I thought that Dromai spike was that the number was different, but I don't have a screenshot from prior because, well, reasons. But Dromai went to 348 points on the Evo season. I thought it was 328 prior, but willing to be wrong. Just saying. Speaking of Living Legend, just blowing right past Battle Hardened at this point. But speaking of Living Legend, no more Blitz Heroes Living Legend out during the skirmish season. So we just have the 4 that we absolutely fucking knew were going to be gone.
Yeah,
left the format.
This is proof that they need to change the Living Legend system, because we didn't get another one this week, and there's supposed to be at least one every week. So we got to bump up those numbers again. Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, I get you. So right now, the next skirmish season that has Living Legend points, you're going to lose 4. Because you're going to, unless one of the new young heroes is just Blitz Starvo. But we have Briar at 418. Yeah, Blitz Starvo is actually fucking terrifying. Dash at 415, Dory at 382, and Bravo at 360 are your new top 4. So it would not surprise me if the next skirmish season nuked all 4 of those and then leaves us with a completely new metagame again. But that is also assuming that they don't make any additional changes to Living Legend system. They most definitely, if you read through the little blurbs they have about the points, they may be updated prior to the start of each organized play season. It says it right there. So this is definitely something where they could, adjust the knobs as needed. Don't know. They might. But that's neither here nor there for this round. So in skirmish season this time, we said sayonara, goodbye to Chain, Ira, Kano, and Kasai Centauri Sellsword. Those were the 4 that were sent to the glue factory, with Kasai taking the crown with 224 points in this season, which is just a fucking stupid number. Next was Ira at 212, which is also a fucking stupid number, which is also, oddly enough, the same number as Briar. Briar had 212. Then followed by Chain at 104, but Chain's kind of unfair because he LL'd after week 1. Yeah. And then Kano at 120. So that's where Blitz will stand going forward. I kind of like it. Not gonna, I think it's fun. I am very scared of a hero that we'll talk about here shortly, but actually 2 heroes that we'll talk about here shortly. I'm a little terrified of, but just saying. So last week, as we were exhausted, Charmer was jet lagged from having, for some odd reason, a 12-hour flight that is a 2-hour flight.
Yeah, that's not wrong. Thank you, state government, because you always are great stewards of the taxpayers' money by forcing me to take the cheapest flights, even if it means that I go from Lansing to Detroit, Detroit to Atlanta, Atlanta to DC, instead of just Lansing to DC, which is an option.
Right.
And it's okay to waste my time as long as it doesn't waste your money.
God, that's not even a 2-hour flight. That's like maybe an hour 20, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. That tracks.
Like, fuck.
I don't even know what's real anymore.
I mean, like, seriously, though, like trying to think, because Vegas to Des Moines, flying west to east, is 2 hours and 17 minutes in the air. So, but, obviously you hit a cruising altitude and you're doing 579 miles per hour, right? You would never really hit much of a cruising altitude going from Lansing to DC, I don't think. Or not for very long.
I think you would, but it would like be 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah. And so, because it's about a 1 what, 10-hour drive ish from Lansing to DC.
So I would wager that this is probably like a 1 hour 45, 1 hour 50-minute flight, give or take, just based on, because I know what it is from DC to Detroit, and Lansing isn't that much farther. So
right. It's a rounding error, honestly.
Yeah. The problem is that I put a direct flight in my arsenal, and then state government just dissolved my reality. So
they dissolved your reality, which means you want to talk about heavy hitter spoilers. So let's talk about the shit we didn't talk about last week first, because, well, we need to do that.
Yeah.
Which one you want first? You want the red one or the blue one?
The red one.
You want the red one, okay. So the red one is a fucked up Flesh and Blood card. Just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. But it is Judge, Jury, Executioner. The one saving grace of this card is that it's a legendary Azalea specialization, because the text on this card is a lot. The text is, if this has an aim counter, it gets, when this hits a hero, they discard all but one card from their hand. Okay. This reads, eat your turn, is the text on the card, is eat your turn. And
but wait, there's more. If you find a way to give this go again,
you get to just keep shooting.
You get to just keep shooting, but B, you get unmitigated damage if the follow-up play is Codex of Frailty and they put that one card down.
Yep. It's so dumb. It's just so dumb.
I mean, getting the aim counter is a little bit more difficult than it sounds, at least in current builds, but
with Crow's Nest, is it?
Like I said, it's not something that's been prioritized in the past. I'll put it that way.
So I'm glad you only get to play 4 of these in a deck and not 6. So that's nice. But there's still 4 of these, because Knock the Death Whistle is a fucking card. And
then Codex brings it back.
And then Codex brings it back, or Memorial Ground if you so choose. You can just go straight to the the Great Bow builds that play Memorial Ground, just keep doing this bullshit over and over and over again. This also is in the Flesh and Blood Art Hall of Fame.
That's why I picked this. This is why I wanted to talk about this one first. The art is so good. Jessica just destroyed this artwork. It's got a little bit more color. It's not like straight black and white and red and whatever, but it has very, very big Sin City vibes.
Yeah.
It's like a point blank arrow through the dome with the artistic blood splatter.
Eye.
It is so well done, but the moment I saw it, I thought to myself, and it was right around the same time that Battle Spirits was revealing their World Championship like alternate arts, which
That's
are
still a game.
Yep, their World Championships coming up soon. They were revealing their alternate arts, and they're all like black and white with gold foiling, and I was like, man, if you gave me a borderless Judge, Jury, Executioner with just black and white art, and then foiled out the red on this, it would be everything that I've ever wanted out of like a flashy card. It's just so beautiful. And the effect is outstanding. Naming is funny, because immediately I remember when it was spoiled, there was already the like, all right, well, we need the Judge, Judy, Executioner alters. Because why not? I
wouldn't want to alter this card. Like, I would not want to do anything to this art outside of extend it. Right? Like, this would be, and I really hope it is, but this is the type of thing I just want on a playmat again. Like, to just keep my super fucking bloody playmat collection going. It is so violent.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's such a great piece of work. It almost makes me want to play Azalea, but thankfully the artist behind this, again, Jessica, they have also done artwork you may or may not be aware of, such as Adult Uzuri. So, I can still get my fantastic artwork from this exact same artist in other areas. But I will say, if you're listening, or if somebody knows Jessida, I would like to get an artist proof of adult Uzuri.
So next
on my list.
Next thing I want to talk about, though, in regards to this, is there is a border change with cards now. It looks like, where you have you have now your symbol, your rarity symbol, is left justified all the way over and not inset into the border any longer. What do you think about that? Like, it's starting to not bother me, but when I saw it at first, I'm like, I don't know if I like this, because I kind of liked the elegance of with the rarity with the artist and then the copyright kind of inset into the frame a little bit. I will freely admit that this looks cleaner.
Yeah, so I think I know what you're talking about. I think that this one is ultimately cleaner and potentially better for like the long-term health of the game and the design, mostly because, and not that it came up often, but there were some times in the past where, because you had to like compress to put the rarity and stuff like kind of centered on the card, anything that had a very wordy series of like talents and whatever sometimes looked very scrunched, right? So the one that I always think of is like Aether Ashwings have like Draconic Illusionist Token Dragon Ally, and then the Emperor also has like a ton of things. And so by just taking all of the rarity and set and whatever stuff, moving it to the bottom, and then like expanding that, it gives you more room to work with as far as the words, so that it's a bit more consistent. And so on the longer things, I think it feels better, and I think that it's going to matter more. And maybe I'm saying some naughty words right now, but when talents come back,
gross.
I know that a lot of people are still celebrating Aria and whatever going away, and they might even be hoping Draconic goes away soon. But talents are not going to stay gone forever, gang. And
it's like dancing in Coruscant and pulling down the statue of the Emperor, and then you just have fucking Poe Dameron going, somehow Palpatine has returned. It's like, God damn it. You gotta be fucking with me. But the one thing I also did notice that I very, very much so approve of is that it does make the artist names easier to read.
Yeah, the artist names are, I think, more prominent. So it's interesting, right? Like, one of the things I liked about the old one was that even though it felt scrunched, it also felt like they were using more of their space. And now, because it's left justified, I feel like there's like a gap in the center where the black is. So I almost feel like I just want like something else there too, but I don't know what.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that they're going to use in the future for like promo cards, where it will have the promo symbol and then kind of tell you where that promo comes from, you know?
Yeah, it could be that. You know what? Do you want to know what I would really like to see him do? Even though it's also like in the text boxes and whatever, me personally, I think it would be really cool if they added whether it's a symbol or the full words or whatever, but some sort of identifier for anything that you care about when it's in another zone. So if you have equipment that you bring back with silver, or if you have cards with blood debt or anything like that, just some sort of visual notifier so that I don't have to dig through all of my cards. I could just kind of like fan them up and see the ones that have the symbol to like quick sort.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that would actually be very helpful, to be honest. Like, yeah, I think I'm into that. Why is this? So also the thing that's bothering me is that there just isn't enough information about the Calling Hartford right now. We know, and because this reminded me with the promo thing we were talking about, where it gives you the ability to kind of add that in. I saw a screenshot from the page that talked about there was an event, and it was one of the things it was giving out was a special use promo Ravenous Rabble. And I'm like, I need those.
Hello?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be there already, but you have my interest. I
mean, I wasn't planning on going, but how long of a drive is it for me to hurt for?
Right, that's kind of the
I
thing.
want
It's
some
doing,
ravenous
right?
rabble.
It's like,
Yeah.
what? Okay, like kind of into it. So I'm trying to find the, I'm trying to find the page for it. I think it must just be the SCG Con page. But yeah, I'm just gonna do this live because that's what we do.
Oh, that's like a 12-hour drive.
12's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm definitely flying.
It's like 11 hours if I go through Canada.
Yeah, there was I don't remember where it was. Yeah, here he goes. All for the Format Heavy Hitters Sealed promo event with a Welcome to Wraith draft qualifier on Friday, February 2nd. All participants will receive an extended art promo Ravenous Rabble at the start of round 1.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go do that. Just going to put that out there. And then try to find as many of those as I can. And then also all calling participants will receive a promo Centauri Sellsword and Raisin Army.
And a Raisin Army too?
Yeah, yeah. So
who at LSS loves raisins?
They're giving us tons of raisins.
Because first we were raining raisins, and now we have raisin armies.
Oh yeah.
Like, are they gonna make a tribute to the old Raisinets?
Or the California raisins?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I still have some of like the old California raisins figure things from the late 80s, early 90s. They had a television show, which was also kind of fucked up. But, you know, just gotta throw that out there. But yeah, that's a thing, is that there are going to be extended art Ravenous Rabbles. And I need them because raisins.
Because raisins.
Let's go to the next card that we neglected last weekend, which I do love the art on this one as well, but it's called Reel In. It is a blue no block, so it's already a piece of shit.
Of course, right?
It has to be. It's a Ranger instant, and it is value X, so it probably won't show up on Fabble. Thank God, because this would be a really fucked up one to try to get hit on Fabble. Look at the top X+1 cards of your deck. Choose up to 4 traps. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle, reload.
Yeah.
So, you know that dominated attack that they're sending at you, and it's just like, my Marisol's empty. Pitch a bunch into this shit. Go find 4 traps. Toss one in the arsenal. Trap you. That sounds fun.
Yeah. That is one way to go about this.
You just want to kill somebody with it. You want to pitch stack this with a bunch of blues and traps, and then your opponent gets to a low of life, double the Riptide, and then you fucking 4-trap kill them. That's what you want to do.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure that that's exactly what that goddamn face was going for.
Especially because it's a blue pitch, so of course, pitching this and then following it with the traps, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
That sounds fantastic. There is one other kind of cheeky use that I'd thought about, but it's kind of a niche edge case just because this already pitches for blue. But theoretically, if you pitch like this in a blue, but if you do that and you actually find 4 traps somehow magically on the top, like this could be a resource ramp.
Yeah. Yes, it could.
Mm-hmm. Right? Like you have to give up essentially 6 resources, but you could not, because you're getting all 4 traps, assuming you hit, right?
Right.
You're 4 for 4. But like the idea is that you're giving up 2 cards, but you're going to net 4 total cards. Like what? Also, like this just makes me very curious about what kind of traps we'll see in the future, because the existence of this card kind of makes me wonder about what would be a critical mass of playable traps, right?
Sure. It also like, so again, there's so many weird things about this card that you can kind of angle yourself into. So like, let's say, with the Riptide example, right? You have the Crucible traps, which require you to play them from Arsenal. So in theory, you could have a dominated attack coming at you. Let's call it a Starstruck or a Crippling Crush because I want to hurt your soul. And you could easily go, okay, reel in, find 4 traps, reload 1 trap, play the trap out of Arsenal, play a trap out of hand, put a trap into Arsenal, play another trap out of Arsenal. Like
you could go further.
Even deeper?
Yeah. So let's just say you've got the full 5 card suite. You've got reel in, 3 other cards in your hand, right? And a trap in Arsenal. So they come in. You could start by, so like just don't, we'll say we'll block with a regular card from hand, right? Then we go to the reactions part. You start by blocking with the one from Arsenal, and then you reel in, right? Before that one resolves, like in response to. So then that lets you find, let's say, 2 more traps. You then, because this resolves, you do the reload. That lets you put another one in to your arsenal, and then because you're still in the defense reaction thing, you can play a second one from your arsenal. That triggers your Riptide ability, which lets you jam the other one from that you just got from your hand in your arsenal and play the third one from arsenal. And like you could just keep chaining this together. So like you could theoretically block with like 5 cards from your arsenal in one turn because of this card. If you have like, if you chain into enough traps and or if you have multiple reel-ins, like there are dumb ways that you can be like, oh, dominate means nothing anymore.
So one of the things I did want to talk about in regards to a lot of these cards, not necessarily Judge Judy, but with reel-in, like seeing how this interacts with Riptide's abilities and everything else, it makes me think that the heavy hitters, these are because like even in the last sets of expansion slot cards were kind of like harbingers of things to come, right? Because we got smashing performance. There's a lot of shit to smash. Like let's be fair here. We got Slay. We really were like, what the fuck? Why would we care about this? Now we know why we care. We'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. Reel-in has me thinking, how fucking tall do these Guardian attacks go? Like
I said, I think we're gonna get some more tower stuff that was previewed with the Round the Table.
Yeah, that's what it really feels like when you're talking about why do you need a card that can help you block 20? Oh no, that's bad. Like I don't want to go to there.
It could be bad, but it's also like, and I say this as somebody who's played a ton of Guardian, like I wouldn't even be angry. I would just be impressed if I throw some 13 Dominator or whatever, I dominate a Pulverize. If I dominate a Pulverize and somehow my opponent blocks me out and I take 4 damage as well, like bravo.
I ain't mad.
And I literally mean it. Bravo from the Bravo.
Yeah. Fuck off. But yeah, like that makes me scared of how like big some of these things are, how tall these things are going to go. Because why would you need to block that much in one turn?
Because you're playing against Tommy Dong.
Because you're playing against Tommy Dong and you have to block the large. You can't not. You got to keep it from getting in. But I would never do that with Tommy. But I just let it in. Here also, like, if you pitch stack this is so dumb. Because it just, like, lets you get 4 traps for free every time. And you just set up a kill engine. Like,
well, I mean, yes, but you also have to still get them to 4. Like that's the other part of the equation. Is
I don't know that that's that difficult, really. Like, because the way you would pitch stack these would be loading and shooting arrows.
I mean, yeah, but
like taller arrows. Like we're doing gobs of bullshit. and also playing a ton of traps. Like, my guess is that this would be a heavy deck. Like, you're not playing probably the straight 60 or a lean 60 very often, but maybe. But Jesus, fuck, you're drawing a million cards. It's just...
Yeah. I am also really excited about this card because the more that they reward pitch stacking, one, it's a great feature of the game. It rewards skill. I appreciate it. But two, it's just an under the radar buff to Arachne. Because nothing says fuck your pitch stack like me taking random cards from the top and jamming them under
on the bottom
just because I saw you pitch a reel in.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, that. Okay. Well, we need to fuck your pitch stack up. Hold, please.
Yep.
Look at the top card. Not a trap. Yoink. And go from there. And then just start hitting their traps off of, hitting them. That'd be also very funny. But yeah, so that's what we missed last week because we were exhausted and out of our minds because we decided to record an episode when we clearly shouldn't have, much like tonight, actually. And then we got gifts this past weekend as well. The first one, not much of a gift. Dissolve Reality is it's an illusionist card. I mean, But
listen, I'm no illusionist fan by any stretch, and I don't pretend to understand the class nearly as well as the Noahs, the Maras, the people who've put in countless hours, right? But I feel like unless it's just all their other cards are that powerful already, I feel like this is better than people are giving it credit for.
But you think that about like literally every card.
I mean, you're not wrong. And maybe it's like just the secret game designer wannabe in me where I see like what they were trying to do. But, if I'm thinking of a Prism card, for example, it's a yellow pitch. It blocks 3. It potentially, because this has go again, it's a way to like get those yellows into your pitch for any of your cards that care about that sort of thing. But also to me, this is like one of those cards that in Prism, there's a lot of times like the card you want to play and the card you want to pitch. I think this is one of those cards that is like fine for the pitching, but also could like have that niche use. Like it reminds me a lot of some of the Dory cards that like when I hear Dory players talk about them, they're like, yeah, this card is great, even though I'm not going to play it in 90% of my matchups. It just raises the floor because it's better than the thing I was already playing to pitch.
Well, let's get to the card then. It's Dissolve Reality. It's a yellow block 3, cost 0, which yellow is usually a bug, but in this case, it's a feature. The text is, that's an illusionist action. Each hero puts all cards in their arsenal on the bottom of their deck. So fuck you, Ranger, if you're leaving, if you're New Horizonsing, and creates a ponder token, go again. So the first thing that jumped out at me with this card is it doesn't say each hero puts all cards in their arsenal on the bottom of their decks, and if they do create a ponder token, you can play this out of arsenal and just get a ponder token.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's pretty good. And this combined with the next card, I think, does more than we think it is. I think it's capable of more than we're giving it credit for. I do agree there. But the first blush of the card was, it could have had a V8.
Well, so just again, without talking about interactions with the other card we're going to talk about, the other things that jumped out to me, right? It all very, very minor in the current scheme of things, but there's always like things I'm on the lookout for, like potential future uses or weird interactions. One, your opponent gets a ponder token, but whatever they were trying to set up, this potentially interrupts it while also interrupting their pitch stack, and they have no way to stop it unless they're playing like negate. You know what I mean? Like, or rewind, right? Like the shitty wizard counter spells. Outside of that, this is like granted, it's not as powerful as Command and Conquer. You don't outright destroy the card, and they get the ponder token. But whatever, like, if they are arsenaling their Art of War for a big power turn, and you're just like, haha, no, you weren't. then that messes with their math. And yes, they get the ponder, but that's also delaying a turn. And a lot of times when you're playing Illusionist, what's your game plan? You're just trying to delay until you overpower them, whether it's with auras or big heralds or whatever. Anyway, you're also going to get first benefit of the ponder because you're going to be playing this on your turn, so you'll get the arsenal. But the other things that jump out to me is that, you know, we might see Illusionists in the future that also care about like other people's auras, or, you know, we've already seen some cards that blow up auras. So like you could give somebody a ponder token and then blow up their ponder token. Also, it's an aura, so depending on which version of Prism you're playing, like you could make a ponder token and then swing with Iris. Like, sounds dumb, but not like if you didn't have an aura, like not out of the realm of possibility.
Now you got one.
Is it game breaking? No, but not every card is tome. Like that's what I keep coming back to, right? I think that part of the reason that people were kind of like you said, like could have had a V8 or whatever. It's because like we got tome. And so I think that's what people are now comparing some of these to. And then also before this was revealed, we got Judge, Jury, Executioner, which like, yeah, fucking awesome. But that's also why it's a legendary character specific specialization that like, not even that, but like you can't even play it in Shiana, man, because she's not rocking a bow.
Yeah.
Right. So damn shame there. And then even before this, we get, you know, Reel In, which... like I'll be honest, just in terms of sheer power level, I think Dissolve Reality is probably better than Reel In, but the problem is that everybody's been dying for Riptide to be relevant, so they're very excited about Reel In, and rightfully so if you're a Riptide player. The card is good, but I think Dissolve Reality, like I said, it's better than it looks. We just had very high expectations after the last time we got an expansion Illusionist card.
Yeah. Well,
and then there's the next card.
And then I fucking hate Illusionists. I just do. Just kind of want to make sure I'm setting the tone here.
Yeah.
And I was pretty happy that Prism just kind of wasn't relevant. Just kind of made me sort of happy that they were that they toned it down a little bit. But there are now rumors abound that LSS is populated with Prism simps because the new Prism now has 2 signature weapons that will LL when with her, which is also fucking stupid.
I just love, hear me out. I love that she gets 2 signature weapons that are both like 2-handed weapons. She can't even use them both, but none of the like assassins daggers are, you know, that you can actually dual wield are in that same.
Nope. So this is Luminaris Angel's Glow. It is a beautiful card. I will.
Yeah, art is great.
You know, flowers to that. It is gorgeous looking. It is a light illusionist weapon, scepter, 2-handed, no attack, blibbity bobbity bullshit. It's the same illusionist stuff as always. The bright side of this card is it doesn't let auras attack. So at least there's that. However, the card reads, if there's a yellow card in your pitch zone, the first attack action card with Herald in its name you play each turn, and your first angel attack each turn, get Go Again. What do we say about free Go Again? We shouldn't have done it. It's a bad idea. We should really be very careful in that space. I'm quoting somebody here. And
it's not technically free Go Again.
Really?
You have to commit to the weapon. You have to deck build around it. To me, this is like, throwing this out here, it's like young Arachne. Right? The first stealth card you play gets Go Again, right? You got to deck build around it. You got to include the stealth stuff. There's a sequencing element. Of course, have you found the straws you're grasping for yet? Because it seems like you're gripping really hard and coming up empty. Listen, I'm just saying that it's not 100% free, but It's the fact that it's combined with Prism that makes me immediately distrust it, loathe it, hate it.
I would say that the type of free that Arachne's Go Again is timeshare presentation free. You really have to sit through it in order to get what you're looking for. This is closer to, hey, put your name on my mailing list and I'll give you this for free. And then you just give them a fake email. That's this. So this is uncomfortably free. But now we do understand why the card Slay exists, at least. Because there is just a one-shot kill for Angels, which is probably kind of nice. The first thing when I read this card was, the first thought in my head was, well, Phantasmal Footsteps is back on the fucking menu.
Yeah. That too.
Because why not? I mean, again, it's nice that this is not going to be part of an auras build, because it doesn't help you do anything with auras. So that's nice, but aggressive heralds that also, play into the angel package, that's probably pretty good. Like, you're starting at lower health, but oof.
Shit, you know what sorry, you were mentioning the auras thing, and I just realized that you can't actually Iris the Ponder. Iris specifically says Illusionist auras.
There are 2 irises, though. I don't know.
But I was thinking of Iris of Reality.
Of Reality?
Yeah. I
don't know if the other one says that. It's not Iris, but what is it called? Is it just something of Reality? Ways, Reality. Yep, Reality Refractor says Illusionist as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it doesn't work. Thank God.
So scratch that little part about Dissolve Reality earlier.
Yeah, because I'm not editing it out.
Reminder, I only try to kill Illusionists. I don't try to play them, so to me it just feels like every aura attacks me, but
I always feel attacked on some level. That's for sure.
Just deeply offended.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that this is fair. That this actually just feels like, okay, it's a 32 health hero. They have to kind of try to play like an aggressive game plan. Yes, they get to play the Light of Soul bullshit package where you basically get to do shit for free with the soul tricks with Heralds and Prisoner Awakening of Soul to go get a Figment and then do that entire chain. But it still doesn't feel like the worst.
The only thing, like, as I'm thinking through this card, the requirement is you have to have a yellow card in your pitch zone, and then the first attack action you play each turn, and your first angel attack each turn gets Go Again. If you pitch a yellow to a herald to start your turn,
it checks. Yep.
It still has Go Again, though, right?
The herald has Go Again, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just seems like I feel like it would be, I don't know, it would probably be too bad if you also had to jump through the hoop.
Oh, right? It'd be like awful.
Play something and then get there. So like this part, I guess I'm fine with. It does require the Prism player, like if they're trying to get value out of it, they have to be very aggressive. Like that's what it comes down to.
Yes, this is an aggro card.
This is the very aggressive. Like ideal turn scenario with a 4-card hand. Sorry, I'm just trying to think through like a play pattern for this, right? Because we're talking about like, is it too good or not? You pitch a yellow, you swing with a herald. The herald has Go Again. I'm talking like perfect world. And then this herald hits, whether it's no blocked or partial blocked or whatever. It hits, it goes to soul. So you get to do your once per turn, go find a Figment, you put it into play,
Awaken it.
You pitch your second card to awaken it, and then what? Like that's the end of your turn, right? So ideally,
theoretically,
yeah. So I mean, realistically, if you're really trying to like go the extra mile, you're trying to get into a situation where you're entering your turn with an angel already alive. And then that way it becomes a pitch a yellow, swing with Herald, pitch to swing with the angel.
Well, but your Figments are so you can leave your Figments unawakened and then pitch to awaken them your next turn with a yellow. Right?
Yeah, and the next turn. I was just trying to think of like from a blank, like if you've got no board, 4-card hand. So like what your best case scenario is with no setup, right?
With no setup, it is you would pitch a yellow, you would attack with like a Wartune Herald, and then attack with another Wartune Herald. Get one of them into Soul, banish, Figment, pitch the last card in your hand, awaken, attack. Or if the first one hit, then you do that and then awaken, then Herald, and still have a resource up or have the ability to have a resource up for Footsteps if need be. Like that's what you're doing, which is still a totally fine turn. And now the deck is, you're playing 2, 4, 6, 8 cards that don't block because you can only play one of each Figment. If you're going to play full Figments, which I don't know if you are or aren't, to be honest.
Yeah. Even though it can power up some crazy turns, I don't think you're at a point where you're still considering like Tome of Divinity or anything like that.
No, but what's the
you might this is gonna sound weird though. You might consider like Art of War because it's also a yellow pitch, and if you're going aggressive, like Art of War might be worth your time.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We have Empyrean Rapture. So when the Herald goes to Soul, now the ability to awaken costs 0. So then you get to do all your blibbity blobbity bullshit. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I always forget about Rapture.
Yeah, because it's kind of irrelevant for anybody that's like you that doesn't block. That blocks because this doesn't.
No, it's just because all the current builds of Prism that I've played against are still on Tunic because they haven't been on the aggressive version, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't cost effective before.
No. But this
will make it more palatable.
Yeah, this makes it much better. And then you also have, you're going to have a lot of different options to work with there.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, like, what other cards outside of Illusionist stuff that you might want to consider? Because, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being turned to the dark side. I'm kind of interested in playing an Art of War Prism.
Well, yeah, because Light of Soul does all the work you want to do, like, as well. I mean, you just pitch the fucking thing. And then you shove a yellow into your Soul immediately. And so now your Herald doesn't even have to hit.
Yeah.
And you still get to just go on the gravy train. Like I think that there's a deck that's there that is actually very good. And not to ever, the king, Pheno Black is the king of hyperbole. But this time, I don't think this was hyperbole. I think he actually has a good one. And it could be very good. There are Prism stands that exist out there in our Discord and stuff like that. I'm sure they'll let us know if we're right or wrong. And I'm sure that we're wrong as fuck about something. We already corrected ourselves at least on one thing. So there's gotta be something else.
No, I mean, I'm sure, like I said, if you want to talk to me about playing against a Prism, I've got a lot more knowledge. But when it comes to piloting it, especially new Prism, it's only like theoretical, right? And there are definitely things that but this is also one of the reasons why I just plan on jamming a ton more games this next year on Talishar, because like I'm okay with sucking on Talishar.
I have no problem with sucking in general.
But there's just a lot of decks that I need to shore up my functional knowledge on. So
yeah, I mean, if the money's right, suck anything really. But here it's just like, I don't know. Like, I feel lost whenever I'm looking at a Prism deck, and have since original Prism. But playing against it, I've learned how to do that.
Yeah, even though you want to be aggressive, I feel like Genesis is probably still worth considering, right?
I think so.
Just because of the auto into soul.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that because of the go again and how like sometimes, you play the Herald, it gets blocked and you really don't have a whole lot to do if you don't have a soul. I was actually thinking that you might just play Library, because you're incentivized to play a bunch of yellows anyway. And it's like, attack with my Herald that has go again. I pitched a yellow. It's like, yeah, block it. So I have no soul. Okay, play Library, go. Like, oh, yeah, draw 5. Shit. Yeah. That could also just be a thing. Now, again, we're adding another no block to the deck, and a deck that already has 8 of them.
Hear me out. I think if you are
9
intending on being the aggressor, like the no block thing doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like,
you really wouldn't have.
Not saying it's the right or wrong call, but like, let's be honest. Fi isn't looking at block values when he's deck building. You know what I mean?
No, they look at the left number. They don't give a shit about the right number.
So
the right number is just like a casual, hey, this is a little bit better now. Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Library in right now, like the only decks that would really play Library, like that would want to play, like that would be able to play into Library or to keep it around or destroy it, to have enough yellows, is the Mirror again. So your Library is probably sticking. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
So it might just be Library o'clock again.
It might just be Library o'clock.
Mm-hmm. And like, I've definitely, like, the times that I played Prism that I felt like I was ahead or doing well, Library was involved. So, man, how much is a Light of Soul right now? Because I don't think I own one.
Oh, they got to be, for the rainbows anyway, they're got to be dirt cheap. Even the cold foils can't be that bad, right?
You wouldn't think so. But we're going to do this in real time because, why wouldn't I? Oh, did you know that you can get 50% off MetaZoo X Sanzio decks or whatever?
You know what? I did know that. I saw that, and I didn't care.
They are $65 for the cheapest one now. Well, oops. The looks like the cold foils are $160 or so. But let's view some data here. I guess they haven't spiked too appreciably. They were in the low 50s, a couple weeks ago, and now they're in the mid 60s. So that's not so bad. But yeah, I should probably pick one up. Just saying. There's got to be a couple places in here that are that would have one, but that would also cause me to then be suggesting that I'm going to play Illusionist, which I like to think I'm a better person than that. But I don't know. But yeah, that's what you got from Heavy Hitters so far. I kind of want to talk through the expansion slot again a little bit. My personal opinion is it is much different than I thought it was going to be when it was first announced. The first card we found out was Tunic. I thought it was going to be a reprint slot. It is definitely not that. I do think that with the cards that they're putting there, it's basically a good way to fix problems or to make things relevant, and I like that part. I do have concerns long term about costs because we have already seen it where tomes are expensive, already deads are expensive. Even like I don't even know what Judge Judy's are. Like they're as pre-orders. You know what? We can let's just do it live. Judge, jury. Okay, it's not out there yet. So my guess is when those open, pre-orders for Judge, Jury, Executioners are probably going to be in that same like $15 range, which is probably close to right. I mean, you only need one. This new Luminaris is probably going to be again somewhat expensive for what it is, and then whatever 4-ofs show up in these slots that are just staples, like if Riptide is a thing where we've seen Riptides with finishes starting to crawl up, and if that's the case, then Reelin is good or has the potential to be good. Maybe I don't know that it's tome good, but we don't know that it's not. Maybe like that's another thing. So right now it's I don't know. Like I'm still kind of on the fence about whether or not the expansion slot is doing its job, because I think availability wise with, effectively at most you can get 8 in a case if you're super lucky. And there are way more than 8 expansion slot cards. So my question to you is this: is there something that they need to do different, not necessarily with the cards themselves in the expansion slot, but the availability of those cards early on?
Maybe. So my initial thought is that it's too early to tell because, yes, there are definitely some cards in Bright Lights, for example, that are expensive in the expansion slot. And part of that might be due to availability because you only get, so many per box or whatever. But also my other thing that I would point out is that a very good friend of mine, he's very, very smart. He always says that the value has to come from somewhere in a box.
Right.
And when I look at a set like Bright Lights, for example, it makes sense that the value is coming from the expansion slot things and not necessarily because of availability. I think that helps it, but also unless you are somebody who's like a diehard mech player, and then even still, you're really only looking at a very small handful of cards, right? Like, so Twin Drive jumps out, but other than that, the power cards for the other classes in a mech heavy set just are only in the expansion slots. So of course, those are the ones that are going to be expensive. I would argue that tome would probably be either just as expensive, or it might be, I don't know, $3 or $5 less or whatever if it was just a regular set card, but it would still be expensive, right? Like tome is expensive because it's tome. And there are other, like Already Dead is also just a staple assassin card. The fact that it is an assassin attack that also has that 6 breakpoint is a very big deal. It does a lot of things that you want assassin to do anyway. So I can see the concern, and I reserve the right to change my mind later. But right now, after the sets that we've had thus far, my initial reaction is no, it's not a problem yet. It's just that, as you always say, the value in the box has to go somewhere, and right now it's going to the most powerful cards, and those just happen to be mostly in the expansion slot in this last set.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of sense there.
And I'll also argue this specifically with Bright Lights. I don't know what happened, and it's not it's not a knock against them necessarily, because I know that there's a lot of logistics going on, and obviously they have killed it in past sets. But to me, it's very apparent something happened in Bright Lights where the Marvels, like the chase cards for the equipment slots, right, for the Evos, were just not up to the same standards either.
No,
so
they're just cold foil
art
versions. Yeah,
just from an art standpoint, like presentation standpoint, and then it also doesn't help that like Teklo and some of those ones have also not been super playable. Like, not to say some of those cards I haven't seen play. I know, like Matt, for example, was running the Steel Soul Arms at the Realm Rumble. So like, there are ones that are seeing play, but my point is that they're not hyper sought after the same way that, say, the dragons are, right? And they're not as flashy as even like the Dynasty
or the
weapons,
figments,
right? The figments are beautiful, right? But even I was trying to think of like a set like Dynasty, for example. People typically view it as a very low powered set. I think time will tell.
Yeah.
But you look at that, but even when you're looking at that and you say like, okay, but worst case scenario, the Marvels are still gorgeous, right? Like when I opened the Blaster, I was like, I'm not a mech player, but I'm still happy. I love this card. It's beautiful, right? The Marvel Crown, obviously now a much bigger deal with the Royal Matters, but at the time I remember people like, oh, like, you know, it's not a legendary or whatever that I care about, but at least the card's beautiful. And we kind of missed that with Bright Lights. And so I also think that further drives the value in the box has to go somewhere. And if there's less demand for the Marvels and the chase alternate arts that you would normally expect, then again, some of that value is going to go in other places. I think Bright Lights was just a set full of outliers because of the stuff that happened with the Marvels, and that it was a single class set for the first time ever, and yada yada yada. And I don't want to base a large part of my judgment solely on that. So that's my long-winded way of saying I'm okay with it for now.
Yeah. My biggest problem with it is initial availability. So a lot of these cards are pushed to make a class pushed, or to give a class a push. And yes, they can always print these as cards inside of another set later, but that doesn't help now. And
so I guess I would push back and I would say, like, when I think of cards that were printed to push a class, I think of Outsiders and Codex of Frailty. And even when it was a main card in the set, right, just a regular Majestic, card was still expensive and hard to find.
Sure.
When it first comes out. Availability only gets solved with people opening stuff over time. And I would actually argue that with Bright Lights in particular, yes, the expansion slot is less common, but also more of that set was opened for like draft and limited than Outsiders was by a long shot, because we actually got like Worlds events and limited side events that had 900 people, and it was part of ProQuest season. Like, so that's going to help offset it. And I think that that's also part of the game plan going forward, is like they want to put more emphasis on people playing some of these limited events and opening packs.
Yeah, and maybe you're closer to right than I think, because I'm trying to look to see the way that this is playing out. And right now, it looks as though you have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the main page. You have 4 sellers on TCG Player right now that for Already Dead that have a set of them available. The other one would be Tome of Imperial Flame, which a lot of times is good fucking luck.
Yeah. And so just throwing this out here, because I was curious now, right? I was like, all right, well,
same story, 4 of them. Yeah.
So I was just thinking to myself, okay, right? I just said Codex of Frailty, main Majestic out of Outsiders. So I was like, you know what? We're many months down the road. Lots of Outsiders have been opened. What's that price now? So live TCG Player, regular, so non-Marvel, non-foil, near mint, sold by Green Tree.
Shout out to Green Tree. Shout out to that crew.
56.98.
Yep.
So I don't think that the availability is necessarily the driver as much as it is the power. That's ultimately what I was trying to get at. I think that Tome was popping off because it's powerful, right? Already Dead. If you're an Assassin player, you want to be playing Already Dead. And even when it's a main card in the set and we're many months later, Codex of Frailty still pulling numbers. So
sure. And there is such thing in the card gaming space as price memory. And so that's part of it. People expect to pay $45 to $60 for a Codex of Frailty because that's what they've been. And so when they're listed as that, they don't really bat an eye. Tome has fluctuated a ton, and Already Dead has also fluctuated a ton. So they really don't have like an established price memory to them, I don't think. But at the same time,
shout out to price memory not being a thing for surgical extraction.
No, it did not live long enough at a price that people could acquire it at for price memory to actually set in. So I think, but last time I knew they weren't too bad. They're
$20.
Yeah, but I say they went back
Green
to
Tree
$20
has them they had 10 of them available for 19. I just checked while I was there.
Sure.
Because I was like, oh.
Yeah, Codex is a good example but Codex is a prime example, actually, of where availability drove a price. Because that card was played because Arachne wasn't played, or very much. Azuri played it, but again, didn't see this huge amount of play, but just because they couldn't fucking find them, they were $1 billion.
Well, I mean, it was Azalea and Lexi.
Sure. Well, I mean,
like that, those were the players that were driving the price. So I wish it was all my assassin brethren, but
yeah, but yeah, I feel like right now I'm still in the reserve judgment space when it comes to the expansion slot, but I also hope that they understand that they need to kind of dial it up a little bit. Like yes, I do say all the time that the value of a box has to come from somewhere, but that value can be spread over multiple cards. It doesn't always have to be into 2 cards, right? And so if you're doing that by saying, let's take it, instead of being 1.5 per box on average, let's make it 3 per box on average, right? I don't think that hurts anybody's feelings, quite honestly. More boxes would probably get opened than less at that point, because you'd have a likelihood of getting what you need, or a higher likelihood of getting what you need. And sometimes people want to fucking gamble, man. People want to chase the dragon. They want to rip up boosties. They want to find what they want. Some of us literally want to rip boosties, but they want to find, they want to use that. They want the serotonin hit for, the Andy method of grab a pack, open it, find your plague hive, throw it at Majin Bay and go money fake. People want that serotonin hit. And if you make it a little bit easier to attain, I think that would actually be a good driver for sales and shit in general. That's just my thought, but what do I know? I don't work in the industry. I'm just some dude. I kind of want to get out of here. I mean, we've actually been at this for an hour and 20 minutes now.
Well, then you should thank some patrons.
I should thank some patrons. I really should. So let's do that. Let's thank some patrons. For our associate producers, we have Alex, Andy, C-Dubs, Syndra, Donnie K, Kenny, and the Salty Sea Cat. For our executive producer on up, we have Blaze Storm, valued member of the Patreon, Dom, Jacob Knightley, Lance Goodthrust, Matt Two Tokes, the legend, Pox Honest, also a valued member of the Patreon, Papa Mike, valued member of Humanity, because he will probably contribute heavily to my lack of sobriety when I'm in Hartford, Philip, Rich, Taylor, and Trevor. If you're interested in becoming a patron of Flesh and Pod, you can go to patreon.com/fleshandpod. The link is in the show notes. There are, 6 tiers. Sounds great. I think it's 6. I think that's right, but I could be wrong. And if it's not right now, I'll just go edit and either remove a tier or add a tier. So I'm not an idiot. There's no way I make that effort, by the way. That is an absolute non-threat. Don't worry about that part. If you need to contact the show at all, you can just find us on Twitter at FleshPod. You can send us an email at fleshandpod@gmail.com. Remember, all complaints will go to Flesh and Pod Legal, which is a subsidiary of Black Hole Legal, which is still to this day the trash can next to Jordan Kennedy's desk. You can also the best way to find us, and you do not have to be a patron, is to join our Discord and contribute to the complete inanity that is Flesh and Pod in that way. It's a great place full of great people, except for the ones that just fucking wear episode all the time. Those can rot in a special kind of hell. But yeah, it's otherwise it's a very welcoming and chill group. You can hang out in the Pickle Posse. You can, which I wouldn't recommend, but you can also discuss movies, films. We also have channels that are Flesh and Blood related, but it's ancillary at best. What else there was something else in there. What was it? I don't remember. Oh well. Charmer, where can they find you?
In the Discord.
Best place.
Saying where episode.
Mm-hmm. You do realize you're one half of the equation of making the episodes, right?
Yeah. I am aware. But I still say it from time to time.
You do actually say it
from
time to time, which annoys the fuck.
I have to give the people what they want, okay? And what they want is to know where the episode is.
You got to give the people what they want, which is why we've done this 106 episodes in a row. Even though I told myself that after episode 104, I wouldn't try to force it. I would take weeks off, and I still fucking haven't. And guess what? I'm not taking next week off either. Because next week we'll have some very special guests. With a nice little Christmas present as far as some announcing of things goes, courtesy of our friends, family really, at the Realm Games. So if you are interested in some tasty hot stove information, make sure you tune in next week. You all will anyway, because you kind of always do. And that's just fucking wild to me. But if you need to find me, the easiest way is find me in the Discord. Also, you can also find me if you make a comment in YouTube, I'm usually the one responding to it. Sometimes Charmer will, but it will be with his personal account. So when we're talking about what the Smucker's face means in the fucking YouTube comments, because somebody asked, which makes sense. They're an audio only listener. You did. They're an audio only listener, and they're like, what is the Smucker's face? And what are you guys talking about? I'm like, and I try to be like the polite way of discussing it and not be my normal profane self. And Charmer just comes slamming the fucking with like, yeah, it just means smug fucker. And I'm like, and here we go. Great.
Yeah. Well,
way to class up the joint, Derek.
Right. I'm the one who's problematic.
Listen.
My mistake. I will tone it down for the advertisers we do not have.
That we don't have, and the support that we don't get from the game that we have now done 106 weeks of free advertising for. You just got to play it up, I guess.
Yeah.
But also, if while you're there, commenting, subscribe to the YouTube. So we get like about 1,000-ish listens and watches per week, and our subscriber number in YouTube is kind of embarrassing. I'm actually checking this in real time because the last
time I checked, and this was a shock to me, it was -3.
-3. We actually have 250 subscribers, which is again kind of low. So if you are out there and you're hanging out and you are like, hey, I like listening to these guys, I'm just going to go subscribe to their YouTube. That'd be cool. Or don't. I'm not your dad. But it's just another thing you can do to help. That's all. Derek, you got anything else?
Nope.
Okay, well, we'll see you back next week for 107. Bye.